Hey guys, it's Shay and welcome back to the channel. So I did a thing this week. When I went back to look at the footage for my What's for Dinner video, the one that you're watching right now, I realized that your girl did not take one single picture of the meals that she prepared. Like no still shots whatsoever. So whatever you guys see as the thumbnail, I just kind of had to throw that together real janky like, because literally I could not find a picture. The only other option is I may have deleted the footage when I was transferring things. And that's still just like pregnancy brain. Seriously, like what was I thinking? Anywho, I had to come on and share this because literally there was no leeway before I just started to jump into the footage. I mean, literally no introduction, no nothing. It was just me cooking. Like, you didn't even have a preview of what I was cooking. So anyway, I wanted to share that with you all. And without further ado, let's just go ahead and start cooking. Hope you guys are looking for a treat because this one was really good, at least to me. So first up, we're gonna make some homemade chicken alfredo from scratch, guys. No jars here today. So first, we're gonna start out by melting some butter. Now I use my good Kerrygold butter, but you can use just regular butter, and I used about a half of a stick. And then I poured in some heavy cream. So you just wanna let this simmer and kind of come not to a boil, but a rapid simmer before you put in your Parmesan cheese. So here I have just some Parmesan shredded cheese that I picked up from the store. I did not shred this from, the block, guys. So get yourself some help and just get the pre-shredded kind. Now you just want to gradually add it in. I had about 2 containers of that Parmesan cheese because again, I'm feeding about 7. So you really just want to gradually add it, let it come to a simmer and let it melt, and it'll be stringy, it'll be attached to the whisk. You just kind of want to stand there and continue to whisk until you see that all of the cheese has melted. When you pull the whisk out, eventually it should come out clean, and that is what you're looking for. So during this time, you want to go ahead and add your seasonings. Now for me, that is pepper and garlic powder to begin with, or if you have fresh garlic, you can grate this in at this point. But remember, if you grate fresh garlic, it's going to be very potent. So just add as much pepper as you like, as much garlic as you like, and then I do add some parsley. This is not for flavor, this is strictly just for presentation. You want to see the little specks in the Alfredo sauce. So again, here, this does take a little bit of time. You just got to stand here, you have to whisk. You really want the heavy cream to thicken up, and once it has reached the consistency that you like, and I like mine to be a little thick but not too thick and clumpy, you want to taste it, okay? The Parmesan cheese is salty, so the last thing that you want to add actually is the salt. So what you see here is me just tasting the Alfredo, and now the last thing I'm going to add is just a little salt. And again, this is a personal preference. You may not have to add any salt, but again, mine was lacking a little bit, so I went ahead and added that. So at this point, the Alfredo sauce is really done, but it can thicken up a little bit more if you like. So you can either turn it down really, really low and let it simmer, or you can turn it off until you get ready to use it and just crank the heat back up at the very last minute to kind of heat it through. So while that is sitting to the side, I'm going to go ahead and start on my chicken. Now I have chicken tenders. You can definitely use chicken breasts cut up or smashed and cut in half. You just want lean chicken here. And you can definitely use chicken thighs, boneless, skinless chicken thighs. And I'm just hitting this with my 3 favorite seasonings: salt, pepper, and garlic powder. All right, so I'm going to let the seasoning sit on that chicken and just set that to the side until I'm ready to fry it up or saute it up. Now I'm actually going to move on over to our veggie for the day. We're going to have some sauteed cabbage. So what you see me doing is just pouring a little bit of bacon grease over into a hot skillet. Now, I reserve bacon grease in the house. If you do not, then you can definitely, excuse me, you can definitely fry up a couple pieces of bacon and use the drippings off of the bacon and a mixture of like olive oil and butter, or you can just completely skip the bacon and just use olive oil. So my green leaves I have cut up and minced, well, not minced, but kind of julienne, and I'm going to go ahead and cook those down first because they are a little bit tougher, those outer green leaves that are on the outside of the cabbage. Those are the ones that you want to start first. So what I've literally done here is I've just sauteed those greens with some garlic powder, or you can use fresh minced garlic or the minced garlic out of the can, and then added just a little pepper flakes. So I'm gonna just let that saute up for about a minute, minute and a half until it's got that really deep green color. Then I'm going to go in and add the rest of my cabbage and let it start to wilt in the pan. Now, Mom showed us how to do this if you want to add sausage. So I will leave a clip down below of me actually teaching my sister how to cook with Salisbury steak with gravy and cabbage. And my mom showed step by step how to do this, guys. So definitely check that out if you have not seen it already. But at this point, we're just making sure that all the grease has covered the different parts of the cabbage that we've cooked, and we're just gonna cover it and let that simmer. Now on the back I am just sauteing those chicken tenders that I've already seasoned. Again, I just let those sit with the seasoning on for a while, and we're just going to do these in batches and drop as many as we can in my 12-inch cast iron skillet without overcrowding it and letting it come to a golden brown color on one side before we flip it over to the other side. Now, while that's cooking up, we're still tending to this cabbage, guys. We just have to stir it and make sure that it's cooking evenly, that it's not burning on the bottom. So I'm going to give this a really good toss, just again to make sure that it's cooking evenly. And then we're going to taste it prematurely and see if it needs any salt or any pepper. But you don't have to do it at this point in time. Really, you want to do it towards the end, but you do have the option here if you just kind of want to build upon it. So we're just going to cover it and let that sit for just a little while longer as well. Again, guys, you don't want to go heavy here. You want to take your time and make sure that you're adding it gradually, because remember, you can always add, but you can never take away. I do say that all the time. So again, you can either wait to the end, or if you want to do a little bit as it's cooking and then only add a little bit until you reach the flavor that you're desiring, then that's the way that you can go there. So these chicken breasts or chicken tenders are cooking up pretty well back here. Just gonna toss those, not toss them, but flip those and cook them on the other side. Now this cabbage is done at this point. The only thing that would be left to do at this point would again to be flavoring it if it needed it, and mine is fine. I'm just tossing it just to make sure that everything is cooked and everything is really, really good and ready to go here. So my chicken is just about done for the most part. I am just reheating my alfredo sauce. Again, just to make sure that it is warm all the way through. I have some linguine that I have cooked up, and I like to pour my alfredo right over my noodles, guys. This is optional. You do not have to do this. You can definitely do it separately, but this is the route that I like to go because I just like my noodles to be swimming in the sauce. So we're just going to pour it, and then we're just going to mix it well. Mix it well and make sure that all the noodles are drunk with alfredo sauce, guys. And then after I have combined it all, then really we are ready to plate up. So the noodles are done, the chicken is done, and the cabbage is done at this point. But remember, I did not take any pictures. So we're just going to give you a really quick glimpse of what it all looked like before I put it on a plate. Dinner was delicious. No complaints. We ate it. And best of all, we had leftovers for the next day. Now, moving on, we have brisket, guys. I found a little piece, and when I say a little piece, it was a little brisket, guys, in the freezer from my butcher box. So I decided to go ahead and cook that. So what you see here is the brisket, and I have just put it in my Dutch oven and layered some chopped onions underneath it. I washed the brisket up really, really good. And now what I'm doing is just putting pepper on the brisket. Now I am heavily seasoning this with the brisket, with the pepper on both sides. I am not adding any salt to this. When I say salt, I'm not actually adding any kosher salt or any Himalayan salt. That is because the liquids that I'm going to be using have plenty of sodium in it. You guys always want to make sure that you check the sodium content before you add additional table salt or kosher salt to your dish. So here, all that was is black pepper and a little bit of garlic powder. Now I have some low sodium beef broth that I'm actually adding. Now I added about half of this carton of beef broth. Next, we're gonna add, and see, it's a 32 ounce, so literally about 16 ounces of the beef broth. Next, we're gonna add some low sodium soy sauce. And again, guys, if you're using full sodium of either of these, then you really, really want to make sure that it's not going to be too salty. And I don't actually recommend that. But I am just adding a few splashes of the sodium, not the sodium, of the soy sauce in, and a few splashes of Worcestershire sauce as well inside this Dutch oven. And I'm also using 1 beef bouillon cube. So again, guys, the sodium content in those ingredients is high, so no need to add any additional salt. I cannot stress that enough. I just broke it in half and I'm dropping it down into the liquid on both sides, along with some fresh whole garlic cloves as well as some thyme. Now the thyme here, you can do this one of two ways. You can just do the meat with the thyme, or you can actually sprinkle some of the thyme right on top of the actual onions before you put the brisket in. Now that is it. I'm just going to cover this. I'm going to put it in the oven that's preheated for 350 degrees, and this is going to cook for about 3 hours, guys. I mean, it may take a little less than that, but roughly about 3 hours. And I'm just turning it halfway through just to make sure that it cooks evenly on both sides. And then after that 3 hours, guys, this brisket was so good. Now, obviously it was small, so I didn't anticipate having any type of leftovers. But when I tell you, there was no leftovers, literally, and everybody was looking for it, but it just didn't exist because it wasn't big enough. So basically, you just want to cut it up. I cut it, across the diagonal, and then just cut it up and let it seep in the juices. And then we plated this just with salad because your girl was done. It was an easy day, and everybody was happy with their brisket and their salad. And then I had some leftover cabbage because the kids didn't want any more cabbage. So moving on to the last day that I decided to cook, we did a crock pot meal because, again, your girl be tired and she don't want to be doing all that standing and cooking. But this is crock pot General Toast chicken. I found this on Pinterest. I will link the full recipe down below, so definitely check out the description box. So right here, we're just starting off with some chicken breasts that have been cut up into cubes, and I am tossing it with some cornstarch. Now, the cornstarch once you add it to the chicken, it will make the chicken very hard to actually toss. So I had to add a little bit and then stir and then add a little bit in order to work the full, I think, fourth of a cup of chicken, of the fourth of a cup of the cornstarch into the chicken. Ooh, got tongue twisted there. I couldn't get it out. So we're basically just sauteing these up. Now, for whatever reason, I don't know why I could not get this to brown up very pretty. Literally, my skillet was hot when I put it in, and I could only get it to this like yellow color. I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was the cornstarch or what. But basically, you're just going to make that in batches and saute it up. You're not really trying to cook it through. You're just trying to really get that brown color on the outside of the chicken. Now, while that is cooking on the stove, we're going to just go ahead and make the liquid that you're going to pour over the chicken inside of the actual crock pot here. Now, I improvised. I did not have all the ingredients. Well, let me take that back. I had most of the ingredients, but I did not have enough of all the ingredients. So I kind of had to like mix things up, had to use oyster sauce in place of hoisin sauce because I didn't have the hoisin sauce. But anywho, it came out good, but if you could get the right ingredients, it probably would be like jamming even better. But essentially, I'm just adding all these ingredients into this bowl. And again, those exact ingredients and measurements will be linked down below with the full recipe. So essentially now we are just going to whisk everything together after everything has been added to this bowl. And again, I did not add any salt to this. All the salt is going to be coming from the liquid ingredients in this sauce. No salt added to the chicken whatsoever. And I do not recommend doing that. I do not recommend that you add any salt. You guys, you know, I like to do things a little different sometimes. But when it comes to, you know, sauces with heavy sodium content in it, I just play it safe and I don't add it, at least the first go around. So we're just going to add this over the chicken that's in the crock pot. We're going to put the lid on this bad boy after we make sure that all the chicken has been coated. We're going to turn it on, and then you want to do this in manual mode and do this for on low for about 3 to 4 hours. So after that has cooked, guys, the chicken is done. I actually served this with rice as well as some broccoli, and it was good. Didn't have any problems out of the kids. You know, it was like Asian food without having to go to the restaurant, because Lord knows we have not been to a restaurant this entire year. But that was the last meal for this week. All right, guys, so that's it. I hope you enjoyed the video. I definitely enjoyed that first meal, that chicken alfredo, y'all. It was so good. Like, I wasn't craving it, but when I sat down to eat it, it was good to my soul. It sure was. Anyway, you guys make sure you share, like, and comment down below. Also follow me over on Instagram at Shay's Country Kitchen. Leave any comments down below as to what you would like to see me share on the channel. I definitely will get back with you as soon as possible, or at least jot it down for future reference. So until the next time, I'll see you guys soon. Bye-bye.